Hello again, it's Professor Hendricks, and if you're like me, you've probably enjoyed playing this game Wordle, which is basically a word guessing game. The choices are all 5-letter words. If you guess a letter in the right location, it's color coded in green. If the letter's in your word but it's not in the right location, it's here in goldenrod. And if it's not in the word at all, it's going to be color coded in gray. So I was interested in asking the question, what would be a really good starting word for this game? And maybe the placement of the words may be relevant. And I'm not the first to ask this question. There's a lot of blog posts and articles on this question. But I was thinking I could use bioinformatics, and so I tried here a sequence logo that would describe the enrichment of different characters at different specific positions. And I was surprised to see that A was most frequently occurring at the second position and E at the last position. Maybe this is obvious to some people, but it wasn't completely obvious to me. A lot of the first choices that I've seen started with the letter A in the first position. So how did I do this? And is this the right choice? Well, I didn't limit myself to the past solutions to Wordle because I figured the future questions, the future puzzles could be pretty much anything. So I wanted to look at a word list. And so Linux defines a word list in user share dict words. I'm actually on my Mac. Somehow I have this file. I don't know if it's built into my Mac or not, or if it's something I installed somehow. First thing I noticed was, of course, the words vary quite significantly in length, but there's also proper nouns here, which I assume are excluded from Wordle. So I want to write code that's going to go through this dictionary of words, or this list of words, and extract 5-letter words that are all lowercase. And so I started a script to do this, and all I've done is I've just imported sys, I've created some basic usage statement, and I check to make sure that I've properly provided a word list file and that the number of arguments is 2, and I've stored my word list file. And so basically, in order the idea is that when I run this, I want to remind myself, hey, I got to provide that word list file here, copy that, paste it. That's not going to do anything just yet, but the first thing I want to do is I want to filter this list down to 5-letter words that are in all lowercase. And so what I want to do is I would say start off with open word file as, say, WF, and say for word in word file, my file handle. And maybe I want to first remove any new lines. And so that can be done with word.strip. Strip will remove any new lines from the end of the file and also any spaces from the beginning and end of the file. So that's kind of useful there. And so first I might want to check if len of word is equal to 5. Then I'll continue. And I couldn't find an easy way to check if a word has any uppercase characters. There is word.isUpper that will check if the entire word is uppercase, but that's not really what I'm looking for here. I figured out that probably the best way to do this is to say if word is equal to word.lower, meaning if word.lower basically converts everything to lowercase, and if the word is the same thing as converting to lowercase, it must have been in all lowercase to begin with. And so I want to print these out to a file, so maybe what I might do is define a file handle, and I'll call this file pentads.txt, and I'll make sure that I'm opening in write mode. And I should be able to now just simply print the word and tell it that the file that I want is this output file. And by the way, this file equals, I think this is a Python 3 thing for print, so this may not work in older versions of Python. So let's see what happens if I try to run this. And so I would do Python and my script name and then my user share dict words word list file. And the file is pentads.txt, and I've got my word list. This is all lowercase, and so another thing that I might want to do is make sure these are in uppercase by simply printing word.upper. And that should solve that. Web logo is basically the tool that I used to create this sequence logo right here. We can see the different command line arguments, but in order to see the command line arguments, you have to type in --help. And these are the command line arguments. It's quite a lot of them. We can input the file through standard input, or we can use this -f flag. I probably want to specify my output file that I'm going to be creating and the file format, and I'm going to want to specify an alphabet to make sure that it's using the entire alphabet. So let's try this out. So first off, I might want to do cat pentads into web logo. And I'll specify my output file. I'll just call it Wordle.pdf, and my file format is PDF. And I want to specify my alphabet with little a, and so that's going to be A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, X, Y, and Z. Hopefully I got all of them. And I guess I'll just try this out. Here's the output logo, and as you can see, these letters are much lower than they were before, so all I need to do is just change the y-axis range. And to do that, I simply go back to the terminal and add an additional option here, -S of 1.0, and this should give me the logo as before, and this shows it like this. But there's a few other caveats here that I feel like I should mention. First of all, by default, web logo will use equiprobable probabilities. In other words, if I go back to the web logo help page and I scroll back up, one of the key ideas in relative entropy, which is how these information contents are defined, is the background model. And so you could give the composition of each nucleotide, or each character in this case, and auto is default. And as you can see down here at the end, it says the automatic option uses a typical distribution for proteins and equal probable distribution for everything else. But that's not actually true in the alphabet. Different letters are going to not be equally probable. However, the problem is if I actually use the frequency of occurrence of each letter, it's going to be way more than any position-specific frequency will be. I could, for example, create a dictionary of probabilities and feed that in as my composition. To do so, I would simply modify this script, and it's already creating the file. So what I'll do is I'll define a dictionary of probabilities, of letter probabilities, and while I'm printing out the letters, an easy way to do this is to do something like this: for letter in Word. And I could simply do P of letter plus equals 1. But the problem with doing that is I haven't initialized what the values of my dictionary are. And there are other ways to do this, but one easy way to do this, I think, is to say if letter not in P. If it's not a key to my dictionary, make it a key to my dictionary and make the initial value 0. And when this is all done, I can print my dictionary. One more thing I need to do is I need to make sure that I'm working with uppercase characters. So I simply would rerun the script that I ran before, and I would get this dictionary of letter frequencies. And if I were to feed this into web logo and give composition, spell that right? And I can give this entire dictionary as a string in double quotes and open this logo. And as you can see, the height of each of these characters is much lower than before. Still, getting an occurrence of S and A at the first two positions and E at the last position. So certainly suggests that a decent choice would be an S at the first position, A at the second position, and E at the third position. Now, is this information useful for Wordle? Well, that depends. The problem is that solution may limit your choices, and the different options that you have may not be the best choices for Wordle. For example, you want to have the most number of characters in each available position to be correct. But the problem with doing that is that when you look at the actual words in our list here, and we jump down to the S's, you notice that there's not that many good choices that start with SA and end with E and have relatively common letters in between. There's a few decent choices here. Relatively uncommon words, so it's probably pretty unlikely to get an exact match. And a lot of these either have repeated occurrences of a letter, which isn't ideal because you might want to cover more letters in your first guess, or they have rare letters like solve here. Tell you what, let's do a quick Wordle game. I'm going to try sols just at the risk of using a letter twice. It's a decently frequently occurring letter that maybe it's useful, and see how this helps me. And it didn't help me at all. So it's complicated, but I've eliminated a lot of letters, and I will try something else. TR is pretty common. Troop, I'll just try trout. So how about robot? Maybe, obviously it's not going to work on every case. Many words, many 5-letter words don't include A, S, or E as exemplified by this example here, but give it a try. Maybe it'll help your game. And with that, I'll end this video, and I'll see you next time.